Lewis, and I will be interviewing U.S. Senatorial candidate Dr. Stephen Shogan. Welcome, Doctor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about your campaign to date?
Yeah, I announced in April of this year that I was running for the United States Senate. I've been a neurosurgeon for the past 32 years in Denver, and felt that neither the Democrats nor the Republicans are really doing the job for us in Congress, and decided that we needed to get things moving again in Washington. That's why I decided to run for office here.
Okay. Just want to tell our audience, a collaborative of disability organizations has provided you a plethora of information concerning the disability community. The information indicates that there are 3 top issues concerning this community: our employment, long-term supports, and Medicaid. Let's talk about job training and employment. It's been reported in 2013 an individual making more than $1,040 would not be eligible for federal disability benefits. The fear of losing insurance and life-saving supports discourages people from searching for employment. It has created an atmosphere of forced poverty. Efforts to correct this problem through programs like Achieving Self-Support and Ticket to Work don't appear to be gaining traction. What policy changes or ideas do you have to get the unemployment rate down for persons with disabilities?
Well, as you mentioned, one of the things that is causing a problem is the fear that people would lose their medical insurance. I actually have a proposal for changing our laws in a way that medical coverage would be provided to all Americans, and that's something I know that we'll talk about with some of the other questions. But in terms of the other portion of your question around PASS and also the ticket program, I think that we need to do things to encourage people to be able to get back to work if they desire, not discourage them. And I know that approximately $1 is taken away for every $2 of people who are trying to work with disabilities. And I think we need to change that formula. And I would also propose then adding an earned income tax credit for disabled people who are willing to work. So those would be the policy changes I would make.
Let's talk about long-term care. Healthcare is and will be a major influence on our lives. The needs of baby boomers, elderly, and disabled for long-term supports will grow exponentially over the next 2 decades. What actions are you going to take to ensure that these long-term supports are funded and available to our growing population?
That is definitely a very difficult question, and it's something that we are going to need to face as a society as we see major changes in the demographics of our population. One of the things that I think would be needed to, or something that I think we should at least explore, I have a proposal for putting Social Security back onto a firmer fiscal footing. As we start to explore some of the changes that we would make with Social Security, I think we should also investigate the possibility of tying in a long-term care insurance policy with Social Security, that we could integrate those 2 programs. That's something that's been suggested in the past. There would be potentially ways that you could use some of your Social Security benefits instead for long-term care insurance, but that's the type of program that I think we should look at for the entire population. It's certainly not right that people who require long-term care services are forced to become bankrupt and go on to Medicaid in order to be able to have this paid for, and most citizens don't really have the resources to be able to handle long-term care. So this is something that I think we definitely need to explore and possibly integrate with our Social Security system.
This might kind of dovetail into our next question. Over the last few years, some have made an attempt to slow down the growing cost of Medicaid. One plan provided a proposal that would provide states with block grants. There are estimates that this change would save about $1 trillion over a 10-year period. The plan failed to provide for inflation, rising health costs, or the size of the U.S. population. The budget numbers would be frozen at 2012 levels. The premise is that the plan would provide the same service for Medicaid recipients and still save $1 trillion or 30% of the program. Do you support proposals of this nature? If not, what is your alternative plan?
I really am not in favor of block grants around Medicaid, and I think the Medicaid system itself is very flawed in and of itself. It really creates difficulty where we have, in effect, a medical underclass that we're creating in our society, which I don't think is healthy for our society or for the people who are on Medicaid. I actually have a program that I will be suggesting to provide health care to all Americans. It would be a two-tiered program, but the lower tier, the first tier of coverage would provide a very comprehensive but basic set of health care services that everyone in this country would be able to avail themselves of. It would fold the Medicaid system into that first tier, and it would be something where we would not need to have Medicaid in the future, which, as I said, I think is a system that is destructive and not very helpful for our society.
Well, Doctor, we want to thank you for your time. Do you have any closing statements?
Not really a closing statement. I do feel, though, that great countries like the United States should be able to take care of its fellow citizens who have disabilities. And I think that things that we can do as a society to help to encourage people with disabilities to lead as full a life as possible, including employment, are policies that we definitely should be exploring and working on.
Thank you, sir, for your time.
Thank you.